Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Gaming with Scott. I am here with John Garlick.
Howdy.
John Kennedy.
Hello.
Jade Duguay.
Aloha.
And Mark Burke from Kolossal Games.
That would be me.
That would be you.
That would be me.
Yay.
How's it going, guys?
He knows his name.
Well, I'll just say that we've had some people where when I wasn't looking, I went, and I'm here with John Kennedy. And John went, that's not John Kennedy. I'm John Kennedy.
No, that was Rico. You looked at the wrong guy. It's me.
And then recently we had a second snafu months later where I was looking at John Kennedy and I said, I'm here with Jason Murray. And Jason went, and John lit up like a Christmas tree. He was like, the torch has been passed.
I thought.
It was an amazing thing. Well, Jason's not here right now, or I didn't have him readily at hand, but I did follow up and say that it went passed. So, Mark, how you doing?
Doing fantastic.
You know your name. You know where you're at. You seem coherent. It's a wonderful thing.
He's wearing a shirt.
I am wearing a shirt.
Yeah.
Pants are questionable?
It's Saturday.
Well, I can't see him from the...
I'm pretty sure that's not a tattoo of jeans.
Maybe.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
It's awfully lifelike if it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're clothed, you're
That'd be so
bathed, you're
painful.
good. You understand how far ahead you are
I'm
for
ahead
a
of the
game
curve.
convention?
I'm very ahead of the curve, yes.
You are. You are. It's wonderful.
So
Kolossal Games, very good front we got going on right now. Like I said, clothed, bathed, reasonably well groomed.
We got to put out a community friendly image. So
it's very, very
we don't
good.
want to be.
Although pants are for peasants, we
Pants
must
are
wear
optional.
them around peasants.
Yeah, that's
Well, yes.
the problem.
Yes.
I keep getting told, gotta put pants on. From that standing, you have your pants, which is good, and you have your games.
Yes, we do.
Talk to me about Kolossal Games.
Kolossal Games. We are the brainchild of Travis Chance, who formerly of Action Phase Games, founded with Nick Little and company, and he wanted to get back out when he was with Indy. They kind of sold off Action Phase, got bought out by Indie Boards and Cards, and he moved into a marketing role with them, did that for about a year, and decided, you know what, that's not my passion. My passion is designing and developing the games. I want to get back to doing that. So that's kind of where Kolossal came from. We launched our first Kickstarter back in January with Western Legends. That was a hugely successful campaign, approaching the $600,000 mark for our first campaign, which was incredible. Blew us all away, blew a lot of the community away. A lot of people weren't expecting it because, Kickstarter is one of those tricky things. It's a new company, no track record.
Sure.
Do we put our
I've
money
run a
in?
few.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you didn't have the track record as Kolossal, but you had people behind it.
correct. Yeah. Kolossal's a new company, but everyone behind the scenes has been in the industry for a while. I
Right.
mentioned Travis. We've got some partners on the back end that have been involved with Matago and some big name publishers as well. So we're certainly not brand new people to the
Right.
industry. It's just a brand new company.
So you
to
guys
the
have
industry.
a personal track record, and you have that reputation built up. So that's
Absolutely.
helpful.
And then we built that. We did Western Legends in January. We followed that up in February with Kami-sama.
Oh, I love
Nice.
Kami-sama.
Well, everybody, it's such a great game. It's such a unique. You see it on the table, and it's like, what is this? Because there's little shrines popping out of the board, and they all look different. And they're all bright colors, and then the
rotates.
board spins on you,
Yeah.
and you're playing. It's an area control game, but you're only playing in a quarter of the board at a time. So it's got some really unique and. We push the asymmetry of the characters about as far as you can push asymmetry before you're playing different games.
Right.
So it just blows my mind. I mean, every character can add a shrine and remove a shrine, and that's all you have in common. Everything else, every other ability is completely different. And they're not slight differences. I mean, we may have a couple of the spirits that have the same kind of track, the token track, but they work completely different. One of them's climbing the track to be able to spend those points to activate abilities. One of them just climbs the track because when he gets to the top, he pops and takes stuff off the board and resets his track. So a couple different things like that. It's a brilliant game, and it did well for us in February as well. And now we've got Imperius on Kickstarter that just launched this past Tuesday on the 27th, and we'll be going through about mid-April. And that is brainchild of Grant Rodiek, who previously designed Cry Havoc and Farmageddon and Hocus, and he's got quite a track record. He's got a bunch of card games he's done himself out on Kickstarter with Five Ravens, and this Imperius is actually a re-implementation of Solstice that he kickstarted recently. We kind of tweaked some of the rules, took away that game was pretty much all hidden information. Then we took away some of the hidden information, so made it a little bit more strategic, a little less luck, and it's been really well received so far. We were, like I said, we just launched on Tuesday. It's already funded. We're already knocking out stretch goals for it, adding additional cards and component upgrades and all that. So it's been
nice.
Been a good time so far. We've had a good start to 2018, and we're only a quarter in so far.
Tell us a little bit about what kind of game Imperius is.
Yeah, Imperius is it's a card game, straight card game. So the way it works is that the story behind the game is that the Empress has died, and so you've got these 4 warring families that are trying to come in and kind of reclaim they're trying to claim the throne for themselves now that there's a vacancy, and there's a little bit of asymmetry to the houses in that some of them have different stats. So one of them may grant you 1 strength, and the other guy will grant you 2. So it just kind of depends on. Some of the houses have their strengths, but everyone has the same 6 cards in their deck. Everyone has a noble, which is kind of your big scoring card. Everyone has an assassin that you use to kill the rival's noble, or the rival nobles. There's a royal guard you use to protect your noble from those assassinations. You've got a commander that really cares about your faction being strongest on the planet. You have an ambassador who cares about your faction being the most favored on the planet to score points. And then everybody has an elder. And the elders actually really switch up the gameplay, because there's some basic elders that just grant you either a bunch of strength or a bunch of favor but don't give you any special abilities. But once you know the gameplay, you can switch those out and take some elders that have new abilities, and that's where really the asymmetry comes in, is in those elder cards, because some of them are, if it's deployed by a certain house, they get a benefit. Okay. Whereas others are just, you can't use certain cards on this planet. So, but you're taking these cards, and what's unique about it's a drafting game. So you're going to deal out, it plays up to 4 players, so in a 4-player game, you deal out 5 cards, and you're going to draft those cards. And what's cool about it is I'm playing a house, Scott, you've got a house, John's got a house, Jade's got a house, okay? So we've got 4 people. And I'm playing, we all have our own individual houses that we're scoring for, and I've got my 6 cards, each of you have your 6 cards, and we have 4 random event cards to help switch up the gameplay that get thrown in. All of those cards get shuffled together and dealt to all players, and now during the draft, I can draft your cards, Scott, and I can play your cards. Ew. But when we do scoring is done by faction or by house. So I can play your cards to keep you from scoring. During the draft, I may take your noble that's going to score the planet and then grab my assassin that's going to kill your noble, so I score the points. So it sets up a really unique dichotomy of, I could draft my own cards and try to score the points, but I can also, maybe this guy sitting to my left over here, I don't want him to have his noble, so I'm going to take it and maybe tuck it in a planet where he won't score anything. So, and then all those cards, once we've done the draft, they literally get played to the planets. If you're playing a 4-player game, you've got 4 planets on the table. And you will play in turn order, one card at a time, and you will play either face up or face down on any of the planets you wish. The only rule is there can only be 5 cards on a planet, and only 2 of those cards can be face down. So if you're playing on a planet that already has 2 face down cards, you've got to throw it face up so everyone knows what you're trying to do. And then once all the cards, you do that till everyone's played all their cards. You flip them up 1 planet at a time. They get rearranged in an initiative order and then resolved from lowest number to highest number of initiative. So those assassins always trigger before the nobles do, and so those assassins have the time to swoop in there and take things out. But and you score those points, you play to 20 points, so you play, 4-player game, you're probably talking 30, 40 minutes a game. It's a really quick, fast-playing game, and then a lot of people usually, not going to lie, that first game is, I don't know what I'm doing. You usually have to play a couple of rounds to really understand what's going on, but once you get into it, a lot of people are like, man, let's do this again, because the gameplay switches up so many times. We've demoed it and just done basic planets that are just straight victory points, and then we have advanced planets where you can replace one of those victory point planets with a planet that has an ability. So now maybe in this planet, if you play an event card there, those events don't trigger on that planet. So we've had event cards where nobles don't score that planet, so now you can just dump all your opponent's nobles there and then slap that event and negate all the points. So
nice.
Yeah, so it switches up the gameplay, and you're only going to shuffle in 4 of those events. No matter player count, it's always 4 events. But the deck itself has, I think we're closing in on like 28 events now, so there's a ton of variability in just the events alone.
Nice. Now, we are broadcasting live from the floor of Hoosier Con 10. What do you have here with you? Is Imperius your biggie?
Imperius is here. Yep, we've been playing it all weekend. We've also got Western Legends is here, so if people want to stop by, if you backed it on Kickstarter, you're thinking about pre-ordering it, we still have pre-orders open for that. We can pop into the gaming hall. We've got Western Legends. Kami-sama is also here. People can play that.
Nice.
Like I said, we just cracked the shrink wrap on Omen, which is coming up in April. That'll be the next Kickstarter. It's actually 3 games in one. We just cracked the shrink on it today to kind of take a look at it, make sure it all looks good. But of course, had to play it once we opened it. So, but it is Omen. For those who don't know, one of the first things we did with Kolossal was we purchased the back catalog of Small Box Games, designer John Cloudis.
Nice,
brilliant game designer, and our intention is to bring his designs to a larger audience and give them the attention they deserve. John's always said, we've always loved his work, and John's always said he felt like his graphic design and art are kind of holding him back. So, we've got the resources to kind of step that up, give it the production value it needs, and be able to, get him in front of more people. So Omen, we're going to start that with Omen coming up here in April.
Nice.
Straight 2-player card game. I always pitch it as it's the game for Magic the Gathering players who don't want to dive into the whole of Magic the Gathering and spend a ton of money. And it's literally all self-contained in one box, and it's 2-player me versus you. Again, plays very quickly, probably 30 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, probably quicker once you get used to it. But the story there is you're all Greek gods. Again, it's another card game. You're kind of Greek gods that are vying for the control of these cities, and you're playing the cards down there's 3 cities in the middle of the table. You're playing your cards down and deploying units that are different beasts or warriors and things, and they all have different abilities printed on them. And once so many units are in a city, that city becomes war-torn and a big fight happens, and whoever wins gets to claim the top card off the city deck, which is some kind of a reward that you can either keep for 2 victory points, or you can activate it in later rounds. You'll still score a victory point for it, but it gives you some kind of big, crazy ability. Yeah. So it's a great little card game. We're re-implementing Omen, A Reign of War. That was the base game, and then we're also re-implementing Edge of the Aegean, which was the second title in the series, and we're launching a brand new 3rd title called Omen Fires in the East that actually takes everything for the first time. It takes Omen out of Greece and moves it to Persian and Phoenician cultures.
Nice.
Very cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
That sounds fantastic.
So far, 50% of the games you guys have are God-based. Do you guys have a God complex?
I don't want to speak for us as a unit, but I suspect some of us on the team might.
I'm just sitting here thinking, like, Kami-sama, Omen.
Yeah.
So do we have to do the number of people on the team will equal the number of God games that we have, so that we can really go, 1, 2, 3.
Is it a 1-for-1?
Is it a 1-for-1?
I don't think I'd say it's a 1-for-1. I think there's probably a couple of personalities that we could get a couple of games out of, because
nice.
the complex is so
Very
large.
nice.
No, but yeah, you're right. We've got that. We actually have another game coming out later. John is actually part of us. Picking up the back catalog of Small Box Games was bringing John on as kind of an in-house designer. So he's still working on some of his Small Box games, but he's actually designing his first ever big box game, and that'll be hitting Kickstarter later in 2018, probably Q4 sometime. And it's a game called Mezzo, very much area control, but it uses the same more gods. You're sacrificing warriors and priestesses to gain favor of a god at the start of the round, and then you're using those gods throughout the round to kind of swing things into your favor in terms of area control. You literally stick this big god miniature on the board that influences multiple areas of the board, so that you then have the ability to activate powers that can either eliminate opponents or let you build structures. Because there's a whole bunch of things that are going on, and the crazy thing about it is John said this is his first big box design. He designed this big crazy area control game, and he's not really played any of the big popular area control games. So, we're playing it and we're like, hey, John, this feels, there's some similarities here to Blood Rage, or some similarities to, and he's like, I've never played Blood Rage. And we're like, what? And it just blows my mind to see this design come out of his head. But he's a brilliant designer, and it's going to be, I think a lot of people are going to either be introduced to John for the first time, or they're going to be reintroduced to him, and they're going to be surprised by the stuff he's putting out.
Well, good. That is absolutely fantastic.
So of those first 4 games,
Yes.
what's your favorite?
Of the first 4?
Mm-hmm. From Western Legends to Omen.
I would. Oh wow. I really love Kami-sama. I do. It's such a unique take on area control, the ability I'm only affecting a quarter of the board unless I've got an ability that lets me do otherwise, which most of the time you do. But it's the rotating board, the artwork on it. It's got such an incredible table presence.
I love the artwork. That was one of the very first things that I started watching Kolossal for.
Yep.
When you took over doing your little like snippets of what's
little
this
teasers.
one?
What's this gonna be? Yeah.
Finally, I think I texted Travis and I was like, "Hey, I just need to see all of this artwork."
Right.
And he just like sent me just like a blast of artwork and
It was interesting because Kami-sama was our second game, and it from the start was always the second game in the pipeline. We always knew Western Legends was going to be number one because we wanted to kick it off with this big game that was open world with these miniatures and just this kind of we're Kolossal Games. We needed to put out a colossal game, so so we put this game out but Kami-sama was always the second one. But because we were getting the art assets so quickly out of Gong Studios, who did the artwork and did an amazing job with it, we were able to start doing those little teasers of I know here's this art piece, and I don't want to just throw out this art piece. I want to be like, here's some dude's foot. What do you think this is?
Yeah.
And so I had fun with it, before just doing an initial art thing, was putting little snippets of the picture, maybe 3 or 4, and then here's the full picture. But the artwork is absolutely stunning in that. Their art is incredible. And interestingly enough, if you've looked at the Kickstarter page for Imperius, Gong Studios that did the art for Kami-sama, they're also doing the art for Imperius. So you can see their style. They can take this really almost Disney-esque artwork that they did for Kami-sama, and now we've moved over into sci-fi space, almost Dune-like characters, and they've knocked them both out of the park.
I've looked at their portfolio online, and it's diverse.
They're
very
impressive.
diverse. Yeah,
they're impressive. They did the art for Charterstone.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay,
They did Charterstone. They did a lot of the action phase stuff when Travis was working with them. I mean, Travis is very familiar with them, so they did a lot of like the Heroes Wanted, and I believe they were in on some of Aeon's End, not all of it, but I think some of it. So I mean, they've got quite a portfolio of work that they've done within the gaming industry, and they're fantastic to work with.
Excellent. So they're doing Omen?
They are not doing Omen,
not doing
actually.
Omen.
No,
Okay.
we are actually the original artist on Omen. We're redoing some of the art. We've got some new artists that come. There's actually a slew of artists on this one.
Okay.
I know Daryl Toe's doing some art. Mike Nigg's got some, and he was the original artist, and he's coming back and revamping some of the pieces. So we're excited to have him back. A lot of the community that have there's some rabid fans around Omen that are playing it a lot, and when they heard Mike Nigg was going to do some art on the new version, they were really excited to have that art because his art's just very watercolory, and so it's going to be awesome.
That artwork is beautiful.
It is, and I think it's going to be awesome. But we've got I think John Arios is back doing some stuff. So there's little pieces of art coming from all over the place.
Nice.
There, and then we've got our graphic design team in house is doing a lot of the graphic design on the cards and such. But it's fantastic. It's coming together really beautifully. And like I said, I just saw the prototype that we got from Print and Play, and just having it on the table was beautiful. So.
Yeah, I super enjoy the diversity from like Western Legends is very watercolor and painterly, and then you've got the really cutesy Kami-sama, and like you said, Disney. And
it is, yeah. And well, what's interesting about Western Legends is the guy that did the artwork for Western Legends, Roland McDonald, who I don't think a lot of people know him yet, but they're going to. He actually is doing the art on the, I don't know if it's closed yet, the Werewords, the new deluxe Kickstarter they just did.
Oh, cool.
Roland did the art for that, or at least pieces of art for it. Mm-hmm. We basically went to him and said, "This is the vision for the art. We want kind of a comic book." The designer of Western Legends is a French guy, and lives in France. He pretty much learned English as a second language so he could communicate with our development team, which is impressive. But he had always had this vision for the game where he wanted it. There's a really popular comic book over in French set in the American Wild West called Blueberry, and it's very much stark lines and all this, and he liked that style, but he wanted to soften it up. And so we basically went to Roland and said, here's what we have. What can you do? We want comic book art. We want the stark lines. We want the bright colors, but we want it to have kind of more of a washed out kind of watercolor feel to it. And he came back and said, well, what about this? And we liked it, gave him a little bit of feedback, and he tweaked it. He basically developed the style of art on the go and learned how to do some of the stuff. And the art in that game is just, every time I play that game, the art just blows me away more and more. And then, Gong Studio stepped in. They did this Disney-esque artwork. I mean, the first piece that I saw was one of the Kami of Dreams. And to me, he looked like a character that literally stepped out of the pages of Disney's Hercules. And I'm like,
Nice.
hey, he's had the real long pointed chin, the long hair. And I'm like, it looks like something out of that show. And
My favorite is the water one.
Mizuchi?
Mizuchi, yeah.
Yes, the artwork's incredible.
Yeah.
For people that are listening and haven't seen the artwork, head over to Kami-sama page on Board Game Geek because the art is just beautiful.
Yeah, no, I love the artwork. That was one of the first things I was like, "What is that? Tell me more." The board rotates. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I don't do a lot of like watching like videos on games and things like that. But after Gen Con, I was like watching all the videos. Like I had them like streaming through the Bluetooth in my car and like watching about Kami-sama and Omen. And
I do that for a lot of games. If I want to figure out how to play it, I watch.
See, that's
like,
what Alan does, my roommate. He will watch playthroughs and things like that, and then I just watch him tell me, like, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
So I just assume he's going to give me the Reader's Digest version. But
Or he's going to tell you how to play it in a way that he can win.
Exactly.
maybe.
You got to watch those videos for yourself.
I guess I
Yeah,
do.
because sometimes he'll have an edge.
I'll
know
pencil that into my schedule.
You should note it because I mean I could see his side, and I've had situations where someone's teaching me a game and I go to do something like, oh, you're not allowed to do that, and then I find out later, yes, I was allowed to do that.
If Alan wasn't such a rules lawyer all the time, like he's very
fair.
like
That's fair.
I would question it, but he's very like
I don't think he could do it. Do you think he could do it despite himself? Break a rule just to get his own advantage.
He really doesn't like house rules. He doesn't like breaking rules.
I know.
Like he likes.
He's crazy that way.
Now I did play Abyss with Don from the Established Facts and Alan from DNA Games, and we played the expansion that has the Black Pearls.
Nice.
So they tell me that the Black Pearls are negative at the end. So I'm thinking the regular pearls are
Positive.
victory points at the end.
Yeah.
And nobody's saying, like, Jade, why do you have 12 of those? Spend them.
15 of these in front
Neither
of you.
of them. And they're like, and we get tallying, and I was like, okay, and what are these worth? And they're like, they're not worth anything.
They're
and
not
I was
worth
like,
anything. Yeah.
you guys were teaching me this game, and you failed to tell me that I'm like, I should be buying things with
I'm
this?
hoarding something that's not a victory
yeah.
point.
Like
no
those,
victory points
Because
at
like
the
I
end.
was thinking Ascension, you've got all the
Yeah.
little gems
Yeah.
at the end. Those are victory points. So I was like, maybe that's the same. And
Well, and there are plenty of games out there that if I don't spend this money, it's worth something.
well,
at the end of the
especially
game.
if, the black,
Yeah,
if the black
exactly.
pearls are going to be negative, those should be positive. So I'm like,
She's a very white hat, black hat kind of, apparently.
if you don't tell me that these
Well,
there are
there's
tweaks
that
or
too.
There are times in life where there's a gray area. It's not all black and
no,
white.
I absolutely understand that. But I assumed when I had
That was your takeaway from
two trusted people teaching me a game.
Nope, not going to
Now
happen.
I played Abyss with Travis once.
Oh,
And that was fun.
I bet.
I knew how to play. He still beat me, but I knew
of
how
course,
to play.
of course.
So Imperious
Yes.
just went up on the Kickstarter.
Yes.
On the 27th. What are the goalposts for how long is that? Is that what you had said we're good there? as
Yeah,
far as fun?
we funded on day one and
On day one.
just over an hour, I believe.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
We are.
Yeah, can I touch your elbow with my elbow at the
do
very
it.
least?
Let's-
Just
no one
rub
will see it.
elbows
We'll
at
just
the very
tell people
least
we're doing it.
to kickstart there. Holy
Yeah,
cow!
it's fantastic, and I think we just passed the $38,000 mark and unlocked another stretch goal. I think we've knocked out 7 or 8 stretch goals already, maybe more than that.
How long is that Kickstarter going to run?
That Kickstarter run through the 15th of April.
The 15th of April.
So, and that'll run literally till 11:59 p.m. Eastern time, which means I'll be up till 2-3 in the morning on the 16th, sending out thank you messages and
Yes.
things like that. Because one of the things is, in my role with the Kickstarters is I very much believe in the personal touch. So when we get back, I mean, literally, when we have Kickstarter campaigns that run, the end of every single one of my days, I sit in front of the computer and I send a personal thank you for supporting this project to every single backer. They get an email or a message through Kickstarter just saying thank you. Yeah, I mean, there's
Nice.
we all know
It's a
there's-
nice touch.
There's a lot of stuff on Kickstarter. There are a lot of things out there that are vying for people's attention and for people's wallets and for people to open up and say, hey, this is where I want to send my money. The least I can do is send them a message that says thank you. And I don't think it's something that happens a lot in Kickstarter. And I actually had this experience with Western Legends. I had sent thank you messages out, and most of the time, you don't get anything back from that. Every now and then you'll get someone's like, oh, yeah, no problem, excited for the project. I got an email back from someone that said that This was the first company that had ever said thank you to him for backing a Kickstarter. I thought, okay, this guy's backed 7 or 8 projects. I looked at his backer profile. He'd backed 64 projects.
Wow.
And not a single company had said thank you.
Wow.
It's the little things. It really is.
It really is.
Yeah, I mean that builds. There's customers there who are like, well, if they really appreciate what I'm doing, and
Yeah.
I appreciate what they're doing, let's do this again.
Well, and a lot of people, and this question has come up, is well, why are you guys using Kickstarter? You've got all these industry veterans. We know who some of the people that are partnered with you are. Why are you using Kickstarter? And the bottom line is we love to interact with the community. We love to get out there, get feedback. If people say, hey, I like this, but maybe we can tweak it some way to make it a little bit better. We've implemented a couple of things that were suggested by the Kickstarter community that that's a cool idea. Let's take it and play test it while this campaign's running and see if it works.
Sure.
See how we can tweak it.
Or somebody goes, I love these. I'd like to see 3 more in that direction.
Right,
Okay.
exactly. And that happened in Western Legends. A lot of people we had introduced stretch goals for in the game. There are 6. They're completely NPC characters on the board. They're just bandits. And in the original design of the game, with the stretch goals you could have 6 individual sculpts for these bandits. So they just looked different on the board. They don't move around the board. They literally just stand in a bandit hideout till someone comes over and shoots them. And so, but people were like, well, I would rather see, a lot of people were saying, I'd rather see gameplay changes rather than just different sculpts, which seems odd in the Kickstarter world we're in today. Everybody loves miniature sculpts.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
we looked at it and we actually developed a card system now. So each of these bandits has their own little icon now. So now there's a bandit card deck that when you fight a bandit, you flip up the top card, and based on which bandit you're fighting, there's a different effect that pertains to that fight.
Nice.
And so that came from the community and us wanting to kind of, that's not a bad idea. Let's see what we can do gameplay wise to not just make these new miniatures look pretty on the board. Let's make them actually do something different.
Yeah.
And so that came from the community, and it's been awesome to work with just people who've gamed for years that kind of know what they want, know what they like, and a lot of time we don't do everything obviously, but a lot of times
Sure.
people will at least try something if something sounds cool. So
Yeah.
but it's just to have that opportunity to talk to people directly, because you can't get that interaction if you're going straight to a distributor and straight to retail.
No, and it really is one of the things people want to be invested with a game where they interacted on a personal level and saw one of their suggestions or one of their ideas hit the board or and then they're like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yep. Well, and then we kind of tap into that a little bit with every single campaign we've done. Everyone's familiar with Kickstarter and social stretch goals. I get 400 Facebook likes, or this post gets retweeted so many times, we're going to unlock something special. We do our social goals a little different. They unlock when a certain funding goal is met. So for Kami-sama, for example, one of the Kami was the Kami of travel, and he got unlocked, like a typical stretch goal. We reach X number of dollars, we unlock this Kami. Well, at the same time, we unlocked a BGG contest. Here's this Kami, here's his 4 abilities. Go to BGG and name them for us. Let's name these abilities. We're gonna spend 5 days collecting names. Let you guys just throw them all in this thread on BGG. We're gonna pick our favorites. We'll throw up a poll. Let you guys vote. And those are the 4 names that go into the game. We're doing the same thing with Imperius. We've got a thing going on right now where we have an event card. This is what the event does. Name this event. We've got them a separate poll going where we're doing alternate art for our first player marker, and we got a couple of options up there. People can vote for the first player marker. We did it with Western Legends with the Man in Black 2-player AI deck, letting them write flavor text for the cards. So
Nice.
that's those kind of things that again, it's that personal touch and people being able to pop that open and go, hey, those are the words I gave Kolossal, and they're on every copy of this card all across the world. So
Yeah.
it's really cool to be able to do that thing and you do those kinds of things.
They
for
become
people.
invested
They do.
more.
They really do.
And then they, and it's from a marketing standpoint, you've also got where it's like, I had input in that.
Yeah.
You guys should all check this out. So
Well, we had fun with Kami-sama because one of the other things we unlocked with Kami-sama was we had one of the Kami that got unlocked was the Kami of Love. And on the back of all the Kami cards, there's some flavor text, or kind of some fluff text that we wrote. Well, we left the back of her card empty, and we had the community write haikus. She's the Kami of Love.
Oh, that's cool.
Let's do haiku contest, and we'll throw the winning haiku on the back of her card. And we had it posted from day one that the haiku contest was going to unlock when she unlocked, and no one had any idea when she was going to unlock. She wasn't on the board. She wasn't on the page, but people were in the comments of Kickstarter warming
Already
up
writing.
for the haiku
Yeah.
contest. And so people would ask questions about shipping, but they would do it in haiku form, or they would ask. I mean, it was so much fun to be able to read those and be able to see that. And then with Imperius, we've got a lot of people that are coming in now, and I wrote some flavor text on Board Game Geek about the 4 houses, and kind of did a little bit of fleshing out these families, because really it's it literally is just numbers on a card and some abilities. So we wanted to flesh out the story a little bit. So kind of doing a little bit of world building around him, a little bit of lore. And one of the things that we did was we threw up one of those personality quizzes you get on like BuzzFeed or something like that, where it was answer a few questions and we'll tell you which house you belong to. And it was things like, pick which of these 4 pictures you think's prettiest, and of these 4 words, which one stands out. It was things that were completely unrelated to the houses. But now people are commenting in Kickstarter and tagging their comment with one of the quotes that we used in our world building for the house that the quiz told them they belonged to. So it's stuff you can't do if you're going straight to retail and dealing with distributors and all of that. Being one-on-one with the community, I think, is one of the most rewarding things that Kickstarter offers us.
That is absolutely fantastic. When is Omen going up for Kickstarting?
Omen right now, and this could fluctuate it by a day or so. We haven't quite nailed it down.
We won't hold it to your feet to the fire.
As of this moment right now, the Kickstarter date for Omen is set at April 30th.
Okay, end of April.
Yep, end of April.
All right, and is that going to be? So you said there was there's a 3.
Yep.
Is it all 3?
It's 3. It'll be up to you. You can do just the base game, Omen Reign of War. You can do Omen with just Edge of the Aegean. So if you just want just the 2 older re-implemented games, new graphic design and all that, you can do that. You can do just Omen and the new Fires in the East. You can do all 3. And then we also have one of the other games. John took a smaller set expansion called Tales of the Ancients. He did strictly through drive-through cards. And we're going to be re-implementing that. I think it's going to be like a $5 or a $10 add-on as well. So people will actually be able to get, if they want Tales of the Ancients, you're actually looking at 4 different pieces of Omen that you can have. But it'll be kind of piecemeal. It'll probably be the most complex, not really complex, but in terms of pledge levels, it'll be the most we've had in a Kickstarter so far.
Okay.
But definitely with people to have options, because all of these expansions, Edge of the Aegean and Fires in the East, they're expansions to the base Omen, but they're standalone. So I can literally take Fires in the East, which is 22 cards, and I can play a full game with just those 22 cards and have a great time doing it.
Very nice.
Now, will these games be going retail or just?
We will be doing retail
Okay.
after the fact. So, Travis is with Action Phase and even his time with Indie Boards and Cards. I mean, you can walk into a game store today and buy an Action Phase or
Right.
Indie Boards and Cards game. We're going to very much keep that model
Okay.
in place, so people will be able to go grab it. Now, one of the things we are doing with our Kickstarters, and this is something that Travis kind of implemented as well and wanted to keep with Kolossal, was as the stretch goals get unlocked, the backers are actually building an expansion. So we're throwing all those stretch goals into an expansion. So, with Western Legends, that expansion was called the Fistful of Extras. And so the way it works is the retailers can still get that from us. They can reach out and they can say, hey, I want to order X copies of Fistful of Extras to put in my store, and get those direct from us. So it's not necessarily Kickstarter exclusive. The kicker is the backers on Kickstarter are getting that expansion for free. Just for their pledge level. So they're getting that expansion at no extra cost. And then, when it hits retail, it'll probably carry a $30 or $40 price tag, something like that. So the retailers can get in on it. The backers still get the benefit of getting it first and free.
Yeah.
But we're not turning our backs and shutting the door on the retailers either, because we want to be supportive of the retailers and the local game stores and all of that as well.
And that's one of the things, with working with DNA Games and trying to figure everything out with Kickstarter. That was one of the biggest complaints we heard is well, now I can't get the extras if I didn't get it on Kickstarter.
Yep.
And maybe I didn't hear about it when it was on Kickstarter or this or that. So I think that's a well-balanced solution to that.
It is. Well, and we've had people, I had people with Western Legends that, they backed, and one guy actually told me, where we were messaging back and forth, and he mentioned that his local game store doesn't back Kickstarters. They're completely 100% anti-Kickstarter, because there are retailers out there that feel like Kickstarter's kind of a slap in the face in some ways. I don't agree with that, but
okay. I'd have to be talked into that.
Right. But he said his retailer was not they're anti-Kickstarter, but he was explaining to them how we were handling the Western Legends campaign, and the guy's like, well, that actually sounds kind of cool.
We actually ran into that. I think it was a store in Chicago. Flat out told us we could not come demo there
with the Kickstarter
because it was a Kickstarter and they were opposed to Kickstarters.
Yeah,
And
it happens.
Yeah. I think we definitely went with Dice Dojo up there, because maybe it wasn't Chicago. It was somewhere surrounding, because we did like a day traveling, and we had one who was just flat out like, no, we don't support Kickstarter.
Yep. 4 states in 48 hours, you're going to quit doing that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Ooh, wow.
Why you would not support... Well, and I understand the argument that can be made. But seriously, I would have to be talked into, oh, this is the best-selling game of all time, and you don't want a piece of that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. That's my thinking, too. Well, and most, if I would say the vast majority of Kickstarter campaigns now have a retailer pledge level, so the retailers can get in at even cheaper of a price than they would through the distributor when it hits distribution. So
it's like, how about we'll peel this off for you first, and then you talk to your distributor.
And it's not like the retailers had that great of a relationship with just conventional publishers originally.
Correct. Yeah. There are a lot of moving parts to it. There really are. And but so we did this solution that we wanted to make sure we were balancing, because we don't want to turn our backs on the retailers. The retailers are important, and we realize that. Right. But the community is important as well, and letting them have their input and all that is fantastic. So coming up with a solution where most of our campaigns are, you have a base game and an expansion, so there's a couple different pledge levels, and then you have an expansion that you're building through stretch goals, and that stretch goal expansion can be purchased through us at conventions and through our web store once the web store goes up. So right now we don't have anything to sell, but once the web store's up, you'll be able to get those directly through us as well if you didn't get it a hold of Kickstarter. So it's not a Kickstarter exclusive, or I didn't back in the first 48 hours, so I didn't get this scenario. We don't do any of that. We want people to back the project because they liked it, and if they hear about it after the fact, they're not missing out.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic.
No, I really enjoy that balance.
Because I did some research. She poked me. That was very good. And everywhere that I turned with Kolossal Games, I liked more and more of what I saw. From all right, let's go look at the screaming blue monkey.
Oh yeah,
all the way through. And I looked at it and I went, is that what I think it is? And I went, it is. Okay, that's ferocious and frightening. That could be a trend. And then I started scrolling through and I went, oh my God, this is gorgeous, and this looks well put together, and there are very interesting ideas. And then even going to the ends of the Kickstarter is the notion that we want the community involved.
Yes, absolutely.
We want the retailer involved. We want the whole process involved. We want you as the gamer. One of the problems that we had way back in the day when Shadowrun was coming out and FASA, I had a friend whose father was an editor, and so we play tested it, and there was still this barrier of, no, we're the company developing the game, and you need to be on that side of the fence.
Yep, that has certainly gone away, and I think Kickstarter is a huge part of that.
Yes.
Kickstarter. Well, and I think a lot of designers, too, have caught on to the fact that I can't just play test this game with my game group. Right. Because my game group may love this thing to death, but as soon as I step outside and I play this with 4 other people who've never played this, and
don't know the inside jokes,
and they don't know me,
they don't
or maybe they don't
bias.
they don't have the benefit of me teaching them the game. They need to learn it on their own, and suddenly the game falls apart. Yeah. So being able to play test with multiple groups and different sets of people and different player counts, and I think that barrier to entry of being able to give feedback on a game has really dropped off, and publishers and designers are far more open to listening to that feedback nowadays than they were, even 5 years ago.
And that from Kolossal seems to be best foot forward in a number of categories, which just makes me happy.
Absolutely.
See, and this is one of the things that I've talked about ad nauseum with other people. Is one of the things I really like about the gaming community, because I'm fairly new to it in comparison to some of you guys. All of you guys.
This is where Jade gets to say we're old.
No, but at the same time,
I think
at the same time, you have more experience with board games than I have.
Right, but there's a couple of us that are in the same age range, but have longer experience with gaming than I do. Is where I've seen that what I enjoy about this industry / community is that it's both an industry and a community, but your competitors are also your customers and your friends.
That's absolutely
so
right.
There's this fabulous competition, that competitive nature of gamers, but at the same time, it's like sitting down and playing a game. In life.
I always like it. All you have to do to really understand that is look at the social media accounts of board game publishers, and photos from Gamma and these other big conventions because they're all hanging out together. They're all going to dinner together. They're all promoting each other's games. Yes, absolutely. Renegade wants to make more money than CMON does, but that doesn't mean they don't hang out, and that doesn't mean they don't communicate, and it doesn't mean they're not buddy. I can look at an Instagram account for a publisher, and I'll see other publishers' games on the Instagram account because one of the marketing directors is sitting down and playing someone else's game. We play games. It's what we do. Mm-hmm. If we didn't play games and all we did was make them, a lot of us probably wouldn't like what we do, but we get to play them. So, but it's fantastic to see, and I always. I have to attribute it to the man, but I always steal James Hudson, Druid City Games, his quote of a rising tide raises all ships. It's absolutely true. And in the board game community, we support each other because we do see each other at all these conventions, and it would be awkward if we didn't. But you can't go. You're not going to go to Nike's Instagram page and see them pumping up Adidas or Converse. It's not going to happen. Apple's not going to send out a tweet saying, "Hey, check out the new Galaxy S9." It's not going to happen. But in the board game world, it's incredibly common for a publisher to go, "Hey, check out this Kickstarter from a publisher that we have no financial stake in whatsoever. It's just a game we think looks cool."
Right.
that we really liked, that we saw like, oh, this was so cool. Check this
Exactly.
out.
Why didn't we think of this?
And a lot of publishers, too. What's great about that is the publishers come in and will support, they'll say, "Hey, check out this cool Kickstarter." And 99% of the time, they're not expecting you to do the same for them in return. They're just saying, this looks cool, and they're sharing it with the community because it literally is the community. The community is the key word there.
See, I follow Mark on Kickstarter, so I get an email every time he backs something.
You get a lot of emails, don't you?
I get a lot of emails. I also follow Druid City Games.
Yep.
So I get a lot of emails. So it's really interesting as, he's part of Kolossal. Now, you do you still do game review, Chubby Meeple stuff?
Occasionally. I don't
Okay.
do it as often
Right.
as I used to. Because time, yes.
Yeah. So it's funny to kind of, I see a lot of, especially Druid City Games. I don't follow a lot of people on Kickstarter, but I'll get those emails and I'm like, Druid City Games is just backing like crazy. And that's, they're supporting.
Well, and the beauty
a
of that
lot of other
is
people.
I've had the question, and Daniel's Ass is another one that I get notifications from all the time.
I
when
think
he
I do
backs
too with
things.
him, yeah.
And I feel like, my thought process is, they're probably not backing all of these projects at the highest tier possible.
Absolutely.
Maybe they're throwing $1 at every single one of these campaigns, but even if that's the case, that is free publicity for the company running the Kickstarter.
They throw $1 on, I get that email.
That's exactly
What did they
right.
back?
Yeah.
I go look at it without them,
That's
throwing it in my
right.
face.
They throw, James Hudson Druid City will throw $1 at something,
And everybody
every single
following them.
person gets that email that says, "Hey, James Hudson thinks this was good enough to throw money at."
I'm just going to say,
Yeah.
I'm going to
That's a
put this
big
out
deal.
there. I adore James Hudson.
Oh, I'm right there with you. James Hudson
met
is my
him.
hero.
Oh my God. I did an interview for a job and they asked me who I look up to in the gaming industry. And I said two people, James Hudson and shameless plug Travis Chance, because James Hudson is a marketing god in
He is.
gaming. And Travis has been a huge mentor for me.
The thing that I think a lot of people, and I think a lot of people that know James Hudson, whether they've met him or they've just watched his videos online, is he's just got this personality that
Well,
it
he's
just
got that
draws people
southern
in.
hospitality.
Yeah.
But when I met him, I have been friends with him on Facebook for a little while, just a little fish in the sea.
Yep.
Nobody knew who I was. And I walked up to him. We had a joke about, I don't know if you remember, he had this big post about the G2 being the best pen.
I remember that.
And I was like, the G2, as a former delivery driver, is a fantastic pen. But as somebody who works in an office now, I have a pen that is like his sexy older brother that drives a motorcycle. And I walked up to him and I went, I believe I promised you this. And he knew exactly who I was. These people communicate. Just his stuff gets blown up. And he never met him before. And he was like, oh my God. And then he started asking me about, we were working on Camp Havenwood at the time. And one of his distributors was standing there and he was like, no, you need to talk to this guy. Give her your card. Well,
Yeah.
Like, he is just a fabulous person. Like, he wants to help. He wants to promote. He is everything that is good in this
He wants to
community.
help to the point that I don't know how many people realize this, but if you're on Facebook and you're on the Board Game Spotlight Facebook page, Board Game Spotlight is the promotional wing of Druid City Games where they do nothing but promote other publishers' games. And so, any of those Derek Funkhauser and the live streams that Derek and his wife do with Board Game Spotlight, it's all Druid City doing it. It's just a wing of Druid City where they're promoting other people's stuff because they just love games and they love the community.
Well, and that's one of the things, one of the vibes that I don't think enough people, that if you're just with your buddies and that's the only group you were talking about that, we tried it out and it was awesome. And so we want our game to jump out there and be great. And we want our game to be the greatest. And there becomes this mentality of, well, we want a bigger slice of the pie. Mm-hmm. And everybody seems to think, well, if my slice is bigger, then your slice has to be smaller. And what they're failing to recognize is there's more pies.
There's more pies.
Like there's a bunch of pies. We're going to bring out, you could probably eat a whole pie and half of another pie, and there's still enough pie
It's
for
a
everybody
pie
else.
buffet.
There's like
There's
lots of
It's
pies
not-
out there.
It's
It's
not
okay.
one pie.
Right.
There's
it's
a pie factory back here.
Exactly.
Bringing
And
them
we're
out.
all going, the guy that likes rhubarb, the rest of us like, but they're making cherry and raspberry and lemon meringue and French silk. And like, you don't have to like that pie or get a slice of that. There's more than one pie. It's okay.
And talking about pie is a great way to get a couple of personalities. A couple personalities out there talk about pie all the time. Suzanne Sheldon from the Dice Tower, big time pie lover. Almost every episode, it's always pie. There was always a pie conversation in there. So when you post this episode, just tag Suzanne on Facebook and be like, hey, we talk about pie in this one.
We talked about pie.
Fantastic. So give us all of the details on how Kolossal Games can be found. Carrier pigeons, rocks,
signals.
boomerangs.
Your MySpace, things
My
like
Yeah,
that.
your
MySpace
MySpace
account.
account. You can
Security
start
number
there.
again. We're back on that.
Yeah, blood type.
Pin number
It's kolossalgames.com. That is Kolossal with a K.
with a K.
So
with a
that is
K.
the important distinction. Kolossal with a K. K-O-L.
Two S's.
Yep, one L, two S's. Well, I guess there's technically two L's because there's one at the end. But
right.
Kolossal games.com.
Okay.
We're Kolossal Games on all of the social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
MySpace.
Look
Very
for the
easy to
Angry
find.
Eight.
Not
Excellent.
MySpace.
No,
yeah,
you're not-
Tom
you're
just didn't want it.
Oh, okay.
So,
We all make choices.
yep, absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
I'm sitting here looking at their logo, and I'm just thinking that would look fabulous in glitter.
No. No.
No. So they all have.
She
they
has
all-
a problem.
No, Mark
She
knows.
does. She
Mark
does.
knows.
You are correct.
They all have their Gaming with Scott shirts. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And he gives me an extra large men's, and I'm like, I go home and I'm like, I put it on, and I'm like,
It's a
And
10.
it-
I
it's
didn't
swimming
know.
in it?
I
Yeah.
don't-
It is.
So-
it is like a nun habit.
yeah.
You know.
So
Oh.
I said I don't mind wearing this when we record. At our pod. The
in the garage
RPGs.
in which
Yeah.
we record our podcast.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't mind that, but conventions, I would feel uncomfortable. It feels a little sloppy, blah, blah, blah. So he says, I think I have a medium. I'll try to find you a medium. My friend has one of the machines that like cuts out and everything. So I show up yesterday with a silver glitter Gaming with Scott t-shirt.
Fully.
Wow.
Very fancy.
Just blinged out.
I was
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, how did you
I walked
do
in and I
this?
was
What
like,
happened?
Actual glitter, not like sequins or anything
Correct.
like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No, it was crazy. And I was
So,
like, did
yeah.
you buy your own and then do the glue? Is that a pen? How in the
No,
hell? Did
I commissioned somebody to do this.
it was amazing. It was
because,
phenomenal.
always go local.
Yeah.
So yeah, I walked in and I was like, when in doubt, add glitter.
Glitter is evil. You're aware of this, right?
No, glitter is everything that is good in the world.
It is truly something that permeates and surrounds us all.
I don't want to get Kolossal Games in trouble, so I'm not going to go down that road any further.
I'm gonna make myself a glitter Kolossal shirt.
Well, I've been
There
telling
it is.
people. I've been telling people all the time that I'm gonna get a before we hit the big con season with Origins and all and Gen Con and all of that coming up. That I want to get a hockey jersey made with the Kolossal logo on
that'd
it,
be
and just be
awesome.
Kolossal's Kevin Smith.
That would
No,
be awesome.
I would put money on this right now that if I got a men's T-shirt with that glittered, Travis would wear it.
It would look good.
Travis would wear.
Yeah,
Could
I
you
bet
do? Would you do two different shades of
I bet
the
you she-
glitter
I'm not gonna-
blue for?
I'm not going to commit Travis to wearing a glitter
No,
shirt.
I,
We will.
I
We will.
bet
Well, you
he-
heard it here first. We are committing Travis to wearing a glitter shirt.
Yep.
Ta-da! I'll say it. I go boldly where no one else is going to listen. We don't
You're-
have any.
you're-
Nobody listens to
You're
this.
saying,
Nobody
you're
listens to
saying he would? You're saying he would?
Travis would wear the glitter T-shirt. That's what I'm saying right now. I'm putting him on air, on record right now.
A glitter Kolossal shirt.
Glitter Kolossal logo, shirt, the whole thing.
Yes, a glitter thong.
Yeah.
Really?
I have a pool out back.
Well, they'd have to match. The thong, never mind.
What shade of blue do you want your
We're
glitter?
going to leave it right there.
Glitter everywhere.
Here's
All
glitter.
the glitter.
All the
Everywhere.
Well,
And that's how that
'cause
works.
We're wired.
It's wonderful. Alrighty.
That took a turn.
So that did. That went horribly. I'm like, so let me needle across the record.
There you go.
Hey, we were here with Mark Burke with Kolossal Games, and we're running Travis off, and that went horribly wrong. Went terribly bad.
He saw the warning signs.
Yeah.
He
And
was
so- and
wise
did what
to your
most of our
chicanery.
listeners do at
He
45 minutes
saw
in and went,
the
I can't do this
do
anymore.
this
I just have to
anymore.
put this down and walk away.
Well, I don't have that problem. I'm the guy that listens to the 3-hour podcast because I just don't care. I love it. I love the 3-hour podcast. Doesn't bother me a bit.
It's like having
podcast for you. No, I'm just kidding.
right.
it's like having a bunch of friends who are captive.
Mark doesn't like me
they
enough.
can't
That's
stop
absolutely
talking.
right. That's absolutely what it is. It's like I want to hear these guys continue to talk and talk
Oh,
about
see,
games
I thought
that
they
I
were,
love.
I thought they
and-
were captive because we wouldn't let them out of the
They were-
basement.
I thought you said
Those are the other
captivated.
guys.
Oh.
Oh, I just
thought-
heard captive.
Yeah, I heard captivated, and I just assumed they wanted to be there.
I was
Well,
looking for
you
the
know.
button to hit the switch to lock the clamps onto the cuffs for Mark's wrists and go, now you are captive. We've
If
got
the-
4 more hours.
If the
No?
game designers didn't want to be eaten, they shouldn't have been filled with white light.
and they shouldn't have had the salsa next to them.
Oh,
Right,
oh,
if
yeah.
the salsa was right there, once I put it on, I was like, well, I have
Yeah,
to. This
I mean,
is
pretty
gonna
much
go
have
wrong.
to.
You're committed at that
As
point.
Yeah.
Mark
Yeah.
slowly rolls the chair
We had a
away.
Wait, Mark, come back. Mark, come back. No, we didn't
We had
mean
a
it.
long discussion at breakfast whether human flesh was vegan or not. Because I
Like,
mean,
would,
'Cause you're not
would
eating it.
cannibals consider themselves vegans?
it is free
That's
of
an
animal
interesting
cruelty,
question.
Isn't it? That's
Because
the whole thing. that
You can have a human rights violation, but it's not animal cruelty.
we have swerved far too far
Yeah,
off.
See,
sorry.
I-
asked me
sorry,
once,
sorry.
we're
This is
gonna-
I was
You're
asked
probably-
I'm assuming people at this table have seen Monsters Inc.
Yes.
Pixar.
Oh, yeah.
Someone asked me the other day if Mike Wazowski was winking or blinking.
I say that all the time.
I'm like, that's an
There,
interesting
there was
point.
a Snapchat filter where it turned you into a Cyclops, and I did a
That's
video, and I was
terrifying.
like, "Am I winking or blinking?"
And that was horrifying.
Y'all loved it.
I just want to let you know.
Y'all loved it.
You were all like wink and blink, and I'm going, I need a hot poker to stab out my eye.
Am I winking or am I blinking?
So, all right. So then, one of the things that has been done before. Let me pick your brain. You've played games. A couple. Yeah, you read books, you watch movies, you do sci-fi, gaming, fantasy, the whole genre, the whole thing. If you could visit one planet in all of that, in any genre, any place, anywhere, anytime, a single planet, what would you visit?
This is going to seem like an odd answer, I think. But right now, my one of my big obsessions right now is The Magicians on Sci-Fi.
It's really
Yes.
Yes. I would hang out in Fillory. I would. I think it'd be awesome.
good. Penny and the king. What is his name?
Elliot?
Elliot. I love it. I almost said
Elliot and Margot are
They're
just the dichotomy of those characters are just fantastic. And they did the episode where they had like a fairy that was spying on them, and they were trying to plan how to get rid of her, but they were talking in like Earth speak. So it was one of my favorite scenes because they're saying all of this just random stuff about going 2007 Britney on someone that people in the magic realm of Fillory don't understand what they're
going,
saying.
"What?"
But they had all these subtitles that were subtitling exactly what they were saying, and it was one of the funniest things that I had seen in a long time.
That is a fantastic answer.
It is. It's my show. That's my show. I love that show. I will not miss it. I don't care what's going on. I won't miss The Magicians. It's my favorite.
That's wonderful. Well, that is a great, segue that brings us all the way around. Different worlds, different ideas, favorite shows, and the fact that you love The Magicians is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Of course.
So it's all good. All right. Well, we're here with Mark Burke on the floor of Hoosier Con 10 with Kolossal Games. Lots of stuff in the pipe, in the works. A lot of good stuff in 2018.
Yep.
We thank you for taking a couple of minutes and talking with us. This is the Gaming with Scott group. As always, you'll hear from us real soon. Thanks, Mark.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys.
See ya.
Bye.